My name is Abdurrahman Ayman, and I'm here with you today to talk to you about something I'm really passionate about. I'm here today to ask you also some questions that might provoke your thoughts. And I'm here to possibly maybe trigger a little bit of a call to action in your minds. First of all, to start off, I want you to think about the world around us. What are the first things that come to your mind? Are those things positive things? Are those things challenges, maybe issues? Or are those things that you mostly hear from other people? Or things that you experience for yourself? I want you to take a second also and think about your own reality, your own society, your own street. What do you see there? Do you see pollution? Do you see gas in the air? Do you see problems that you wish you can find the solution for? I'm here to tell you that this is what we're going to be talking about. We're not only going to take a look at these challenges and at these problems, but what we're actually going to do is that we're going to try to provoke your thoughts to build something together. We're going to try to provoke your thoughts to think, if we were together to all contribute to something and build something that is beyond ourselves, how would that look like? And I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine how would an ideal island look like. I want you to imagine what are the attributes of that island? What are the elements of it? How does it feel? How happy are the people? What are they doing in their day-to-day? But above all, I want you to imagine how that reality would be. And what if I were to tell you that to be able to build that beautiful imaginary island, there is a plan. And that plan is built of 17 components. And those 17 components are designed in a way to enable us to be able to achieve that dream vision. And those 17 components, or that plan, has been there for a while. But unfortunately, not a lot of us know about it. And how can I prove that? So we went out there and we asked 160,000 young people. We thought to take their opinion about this topic in specific and try to gauge how many of them actually know of the existence of that plan. And less than 55% actually said that they have an idea what that is, which triggered our thoughts. What can we do in order to make more young people know about the existence of the Sustainable Development Goals as the first point, or the building block and foundation towards being able to build a better world for tomorrow? So we asked young people, if you were to pick one of those topics or issues, what would be the biggest topic that you're interested in, or that you believe would be capable of creating pivotal change? And 16.8% of our respondents said that it is improving the quality of education. Making sure that what we teach in those classrooms is something that is relevant, something that is progressive, contemporary, but above all, is something that goes beyond the theory into practical implementation. Something that we as a generation would be capable of taking in and building those future blocks. And if you look at what we're trying to do here today, that is a step towards that. A step towards making sure that education in the classroom is something that goes beyond what you read in a book, is something that is relevant for your reality, something that is relevant for your society, and above all, something that is relevant for you to be able to take forward. A lot of times people ask me, what are the key attributes of those Sustainable Development Goals? What makes them so unique? What makes them so different? And I would say that their universality makes them different. Also, their integration makes them different. Their ability to link up and connect makes them different. And that is something that I believe is key towards making sure that we're capable of achieving them. But above all, when you think about it, they're transformational. They hold the capacity to be able to build societies that are sustainable, to build countries, entities, territories that are sustainable. And above all, if you think about it, when we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that, they have the ability to increase our livelihood and make sure that there's a possibility that we might have it tomorrow as a human race. So let's dive into it. We gave a lot of an intro and we gave you a lot of build-up and tried to build your excitement towards it. So what we're going to try to do now is to dive directly into this lesson and kick it off with a little bit of a reality check. Why those 17 SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals in specific? How did we pick them? Why these issues? So I'll walk you through them one by one and try to maybe bring a little bit of relevance to your thoughts. So first, I want you to imagine yourself living on less than 300 fils per day. How would your life look like? Where would you go out? What kind of transport would you take? How would you be able to utilize those 300 fils in the best possible way to live a quality life? Is it even possible to live a quality life off of such an amount? Why this amount in specific? Is because that is what's close to almost $1 per day, which when you're less than that, you're considered to be below the poverty line. A reality I'm not sure if any of you have experienced before, but unfortunately it's the reality of a lot of people out there. And imagine with those 300 fils, or less than 300 fils, would you be able to afford a good nutritious diet? Would you be able to eat food that actually nurtures you as an individual and nourishes you as an individual? I highly don't think so. When we look at still a world where almost 15% of its population is living in hunger, and we waste a lot of food. It's not like we don't have the resource. We have a lot of it. And we are also wasting a lot of it just by overeating or sometimes overcooking and just never using it. So how can we try to create a paradigm shift here? How can we look at our bodies, our well-being, and moderate and balance? Live and promote a healthy lifestyle. That is something that is key. How can we make sure that it's not only about exercising or going to the gym or I don't know, all these like fashion trends that come in and out, but it's actually about taking care of our well-being, moderating in everything that we do, having access to good quality of healthcare as a fundamental human right. How can we make sure that that happens? Because a lot of people, unfortunately, do not have access to that. A lot of times we say that, and I know that also as a generation we believe that education is key. That if we're capable of educating the generation of tomorrow, then tomorrow is going to be better. And if we're capable of educating the generation of today, maybe they're going to contribute to that future also. Quality education is something that is of pivotal importance to our future and to the Sustainable Development Goals. Because even educating about the Sustainable Development Goals is supposed to be at the core of every single curriculum in every single school and university. And that's where the role of the world's largest lesson comes. That's why you're sitting all right now and listening to this live feed. It's an attempt from our side to try to embed that in your day-to-day schoolwork, so it can be embedded later on afterwards in your day-to-day actions. I'll tell you a little bit of a story. talking about education. I remember going to school and having to go through a very interesting process where continuously whenever I went to school, I had to tend first for 2 sisters, then 3 sisters, then 4, then 5 at the current moment. I have 5 sisters. The youngest of them is 4 years old, and the oldest is 28. Almost my age. And the key thing here is that whenever I look at them, I feel a responsibility for creating a better tomorrow. I feel a responsibility for making sure that when they grow up, they have a chance at life. They have a chance not only just to live a mediocre life, but they have a chance to lead, to manage, build their businesses, be able to create. And I long for a day where we don't need to have a conversation about gender inclusion or gender mainstreaming, that it has become a norm and it has become the narrative that we don't need to be able to even have this conversation. That they would live that and they would be confident that they have an equal chance. How can we contribute towards building that? But how can we contribute towards building that if we still live in a world where people sometimes don't even have access to clean water? So I want you to take a second. Just think for a moment. Imagine yourself walking into your shower, trying to open the shower, and you find no water. You walk to the sink because you want to brush your teeth. You find no water. You walk out to the fridge and you want to have that bottle of ice cold water in a hot day, and you don't find water. Do you know that feeling of thirst? That is the feeling that actually a lot of people need to suffer. In realities where access to clean water and sanitation is not a given right. As fundamental as it sounds for you, and as hard as it is to imagine, I can understand, unfortunately that is the reality of some people. I'm sure that a lot of you know that oil, gas, coal, a lot of the fossil fuels that we use today are not going to be there tomorrow. And we hear it a lot from an economical perspective. We're trying to change the sources of our income, we're trying to change the nature of our economy. But beyond that, we need to change because they're not going to be there tomorrow. All these factories, this electricity that we're using, even at this current moment, probably would not be there tomorrow because these fossil fuels are not going to last forever. So how can we start changing the way that we're thinking, shift the mindset, start looking at resources that we were given that are going to be there today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow, and for the long future. Look at the sun, look at the wind, look at the waves. Innovate as mankind to be able to harness resources that are renewable, that we know are going to continue to exist. How can we start making that change in mindset? Because whether we like it or not, this is going to be the center of the economic opportunities of the future, of the jobs of the future. The future of jobs is going to be centered around innovation. Innovation in technology, innovation in terms of how we utilize our resources. But believe it or not, I'll tell you a small fact, a small statistic. As a global population, we're going to need to start generating 30 million employment opportunities per year so that every young person of our age group would find a job. 30 million opportunities, which puts a very big question on our shoulders, to be honest. Are we just going to wait on the sideline until an opportunity presents itself to us? Or are we going to transform ourselves into a generation of creators? A generation that is capable of creating opportunities and doesn't just wait for them. A generation that is pivotal for societal growth and is capable of playing that role at the center of our economy, being a growth engine for society. How can we transform ourselves into producers rather than continuously being consumers of everything, consumers of technology, consumers of food, consumers of products, fast fashion, How can we produce? Is a big question that a lot of times comes to my mind. Because at the end of the day, I was just mentioning that we're consumers of technology. We're all consumers of technology through social media, which is something that's now foundational for us. We're consumers of the internet, anything that it has to offer. What if I told you that you needed to build a business, or that you needed to attend a class, and all that you have access to is not even 2G technology? It's something that's even below that. An internet speed of 500 kilobytes per second. I know that can be, it's a bit difficult to gauge. 500 kilobytes per second, does that even exist as an internet speed currently in the world that we live in? Everyone now has high-speed internet access of up to 100 megabytes at your home per second. But that is unfortunately the reality when infrastructure doesn't exist. Something that is as simple as, or as foundational as the internet for you, for some people is a major luxury. They would need to walk some miles, barefoot even sometimes, to be able to reach the nearest internet spot, to be able to get 5 minutes of internet and pay for it a lot of money. How can we make sure that we build resilient infrastructure that gives people equal opportunities? Because it is key. Infrastructure, and by that I don't only mean internet. Sometimes I mean even some things that are more simple than that. Roads. Imagine if you don't have a paved road to walk on, or to drive on, or if you don't even have a car in that case. No bridges, no tunnels. How would the world look like? I think it would look very different, to the point that we cannot even imagine. I talked about how infrastructure can contribute to equal opportunities. But let's say for a second that you're part of an athletic team. You compete in running. And every single time you were asked to run a race, the umpire said one thing: I will fire the shot, and then everyone runs except you. You need to wait for 3 seconds. And then you run. And on the other side, your coach is pushing you to compete. You have to win. And you're like, coach, but I started 3 seconds late. And your coach is like, but you have to compete. You need to win. Imagine if that race becomes every race that you have to run. Every race is a race that you have to run 3 seconds later and try to compete and try to finish on top. How would that feel like? I think it would be a very interesting feeling. You'd feel a lack of justice, right? How can we make sure that everyone that's running a race in this world has a fair shot at it? We have different capacities. Some of us are faster, some of us are more athletic, some of us are going to finish first, some of us are going to finish last, and that's fine. But everyone deserves a fair shot at an equal opportunity. How can we build that kind of world? Because when you think about it, we all have an equal right to basic necessities. And one of those most basic necessities is safety and security. Until today, I would be able to recall a story, even how it feels, everything, of one time when I was robbed on one of my trips. And until today, I do remember how it feels. And it foundationally changed my view of that street that I was walking in. I would never go there again. Although most probably I will not get robbed again. But I know that I would never go back there again. It creates a certain kind of, how can I say, fear in your mind. Imagine if you're living in that fear all the time. I cannot, to be honest. Being afraid to leave home, just go for a walk. Being afraid that I might leave home with a laptop but not come back with any. Then I need to keep all my money cashless, because, not just because of tech and that it's cool, but because I might get robbed also. And other different safety hazards. How can we make sure that at least this basic foundation is something that we all have, so we'd be able to thrive, so we can worry less and fear less, to be able to create more and come closer together? One of the major reasons of a lot of the disputes that you see around the world is because we're afraid. We're afraid of what we don't know. We're afraid of the other. We're afraid of what we perceive as different. can we give each other that sense of safety? I was reading this article the other day, and it was saying something I found very hilarious, to be honest, because I know it can never be true. It said that by 2030, it's expected that the world's population would reach 9.4 billion. 9.4 billion people. And with our current consumption rate, that would mean that we would need 3 planet Earths worth of resources to be able to thrive and live. Currently we have 1, and it's not even enough. By 2030 we're going to need 3. Where are we going to get them from? So we're looking at exploiting Mars, which I don't think is as rich as planet Earth. How can we make sure that we're capable of rebalancing that equation? That lack of equilibrium between consumption and production, where neither of them has become responsible. Even when we produce in a way that is not sustainable. We produce by using the Earth's resources. We produce by abusing things that we were given. How can we bring back equilibrium to this equation? And understand that we need to responsibly consume and responsibly also produce in the first place. So we wouldn't need 3 planet Earths, but 1 would be enough, and we'd be capable of thriving on it. But there's a big problem with that. Since there's no planet B, how come we're burning planet A so much, so fast? Climate change is a reality. Climate change is factual. Whether we like it or not, we are the last generation that has the opportunity or the ability to reverse climate change. And why do they say that? Why was that a very famous saying by Ban Ki-moon? It's because if we don't do so, there will not be an upcoming generation to witness this earth and have a chance at it, at making it better. The summers are getting hotter, the winters are getting colder. And you can clearly see that. We're all experiencing the impact of climate change. But how many of us are actually willing to do something about it? Because in the same time, just like I'm talking about climate change right now, we still produce things like straws. A straw. How many of you here likes a milkshake? Milkshake, fantastic product. Or a juice. Or any of those types of drinks. I'm a big fan of milkshakes. If you're a fan of milkshakes, raise your hand. How many of you would drink a milkshake with a straw? I would drink a milkshake with a straw, usually. I would raise my hand for that. That can happen. How many of you know that most of that plastic ends up in the ocean and is destroying the livelihood of a lot of its creatures? I didn't know that. While we were building this, I came to figure that out. A very simple product that is extremely useless, because I could drink the same milkshake directly out of the cup and nothing is gonna change. Maybe I'll have some milkshake on my mustache, but that's fine, I can clean it. Because all those plastic straws are gonna go to destroy the livelihood of another creature. And it's not just the plastic straws, it's the plastic bottles, it says etc, etc, etc. It's the oil that we're spilling in the ocean, but I'm starting from the very simple thing, which is the milkshake that you drink. How can you drink that one responsibly? How can you make your next drink a drink that is strawless? Very simple action, but might save a lot of creatures. Because we're not only doing that in the oceans or underwater, we're also doing that on land. We're cutting trees to make paper, and most of the time it's paper that we don't need, paper that we throw, paper that is single-use paper, that we just use for one time and then it's gone. A lot of consciousness is coming to the world now with recycling, and we're trying to keep reusing. But still, the pace of our destruction is still much faster than the pace of our recycling and us doing good things. And we're destroying a lot of ecosystems and biodiversity that has existed for so long. We're losing creatures that we might never be able to see again. I heard about things like dodos or white rhinos, where there's only one left, And probably my kids or my grandchildren wouldn't even know what a white rhino is, or maybe even an elephant or a giraffe. Who knows if they're still going to be around at that point in time. We're contributing to the extinction of a lot of species. How would we feel if someone was contributing to our extinction and we have nothing that we could do about it? We can't fight back. It's not fair, right? So when you come to think about it, how can we find peace amongst us? How can we find peace amongst ourselves? To be able to build a society that is inclusive. A society in which all of us are contributing. But a society in which all of us know that at the end of the day, it's going to be just, and it's going to be fair, and we're going to be given what we deserve, equally. That gives you a lot of inner peace, right? Just knowing that you will be given what you deserve, what you owe. If you work hard, you're going to get the reward for that. If you do good, you're going to be given good. When you contribute, the place is going to be better, and your livelihood is going to increase. It's going to give you a lot of inner peace, and it's going to be able to give us peace to live amongst each other, knowing that we're inclusive in that kind of way. All of this, of what I mentioned, will never happen if we don't work together, if we don't put hand in hand to make it happen. If not every single player contributes to sustainable development, schools, universities, governments, NGOs, companies, startups, families, friends, everyone coming together. And not just in our own countries or territories, but around the world, coming together across borders to put hand in hand, build global partnerships that can actually create an impact. Because whether we like it or not, yes, every single one of these goals is important. That's very true. But at the end of the day, they are all connected. They're all connected, and not one can happen without the other. Just like we cannot contribute to one without the other. As people and as a race, we need to realize that. A lot of times, they say, or I was told, that young people are the future. Which is true. We are the future. At the end of the day, we're the people that are going to live to witness it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if things go well. But I want to maybe challenge that perspective a little bit. I want to use these upcoming couple of minutes to possibly change that perspective with you, right here, right now. What if I were to tell you that young people are not just the future? Young people are the now. Young people are our current moment. And if we invest in them right now, maybe not just tomorrow is going to be better, but today is also going to be better. If we use that energy, utilize it in the best possible way to build, create, innovate, collaborate, we can make sure that today is also better, not just tomorrow, not just the future. And I have a very strong message, or a very firm belief regarding that. So I'm going to leave you with it for the next couple of minutes. What are you doing about it? It's a very powerful question. A question that I ask myself a lot of times. Because a lot of times, I know I felt helpless. For the past period of time, we've been trying to go all around and talk to young people. Tell them that they actually can. Not only by teaching them theory, but by actually making them see what are day-to-day things that they can do with their own hands. Because that, at the end of the day, is the bottom line of what all this is about. If we're just gonna come here so you would listen to me, listen to some theory, listen to some statistics and facts and stories, and just go back home without anything changing, then there's a fundamental problem. Because at the end of the day, it's about the small, simple things that you can do. It's about the poster that you can put up in school. It's about the things that you can read to educate yourself. It's about talking to your friends and family. It's about giving a classroom presentation about the Sustainable Development Goals. It's about building a small project with your friends in your local community, or even in your school or university. The asking is not big, but the ambition is massive. So how can we contribute those small actions? Sometimes we don't even know. That's why there's a lot of resources out there that can help us out. A lot of resources that include all the body of knowledge that we need in order for us to have no excuse as a generation to claim this moment and actually start acting upon it. Because at the end of the day, from my perspective, I want you to imagine a world where there is no poverty and zero hunger. We have good health and well-being, quality education, and full gender equality everywhere. There's clean water and sanitation for everyone. Affordable and clean energy has helped to create decent work and economic growth. Our prosperity is fueled by investment in industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and that has helped us to reduce inequalities. We live in sustainable cities and communities, and responsible consumption and production is healing our planet. Climate action has capped the warming of the planet, and we have flourishing life below water and abundant, diverse life on land. We enjoy peace and justice through strong institutions and have built long-term partnerships for the goals. Imagine that world. How would it look like? Imagine the perfect island that I told you about in the beginning. If it had all of those attributes, how would it look like? What would be our role in contributing towards that bigger picture? What's that small action, one small action that you would commit to? And in this upcoming part of the day, you're going to have the opportunity to explore that. You're going to see a lot of young people wearing the same t-shirt that I'm wearing, or you're going to see a similar symbol to this one over here. And they're going to tell you a little bit more about what you can actually make happen, how you can take small actions that can contribute towards building this dream vision that I was just talking about. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope that it wasn't very lengthy. I'll see you where I see you, and I wish for you a sustainable future and actually committing to creating an impact, because nothing is as fulfilling as the feeling of living with a purpose for a purpose. See ya.